Podcast. How are you guys doing today? You guys, I'm freezing cold. I do not have the heater on. It's like 40 degrees and I'm like in a work shed. But that's okay because we're about to do this podcast and I really just wanted to talk to you guys. And I can't remember exactly where we last left off. I'm pretty sure I was reading to you guys the field work one, like what they said about me during this time. To recap, you guys, I went to a CAPE, which was a YMCA thing where you would work with children with developmental disabilities. And I went there twice, and then I also went to the middle school, and Jamaica Richards was my OT there at that time. And then also another teacher, we had Leslie Hardman, we had Julie Baltusberger, Jennifer Height, Kelly Laggers, Camille, she was the fieldwork supervisor coordinator, Casey Humphrey, assistant coordinator, Mary Ellen Thompson, graduate coordinator, Colleen Schnick was the occupational therapy chair, Jamaica Richards, the fieldwork instructor at Rockcastle Middle School, John Dixon, equal opportunity office director, Lori Davis, director of disabilities at EKU, Nicole Wright was the tutor, and Fletcher appeals committee, and Kazi Upton was Camille's committee. So that's kind of where we are. And I'm pretty sure we didn't make it through all of these where they had talked badly about me, where they had failed me in this thing. So I guess I'll just start back at 17. It was for professional communication, and she gave me a 2. Also engages in positive nonverbal in-personal communications with clients and family members, client, family, peers, and instructor. So that was 16. Engages in positive verbal and nonverbal in-person communication with client, family members, peers, and instructor. And then she goes back to a number 3, saying that this is not a strength of mine. She's not comfortable communicating with other staffs or populations of clients. She demonstrated difficulty initiating conversations with various groups of individuals, including with clients, staff, and peers. And I don't know where she came up with that because, one, I had to go and ask multiple peers for help. As we have known, I have talked to the majority of the staff by this point because I am very upset about what was going on. And every time that I would continue to go on with instructors and things like that, they were normally belittling me when I would go and talk to them, which is not what an instructor is supposed to do. So I was getting a little bit of anxiety to talk to staff, but I was not afraid to go up and talk to the staff as needed because I needed help. If I needed help, I was going to talk to them. The clients, well, I don't know how I could not interact with the clients because I did interact with at CAPE. She saw me interacting with the 17-year-old boy and the young girl at the time. And I'm pretty sure we did perfectly fine in that scenario with the clients. And I tried to talk to the boy during that. And I also spent time with the FMD, which is fundamental disorders in the middle school. And the only time I didn't really talk to clients was when I was with the OT in the middle school, and that was because they were all in a group and they were all doing the same worksheet, and I thought it was kind of rude to talk to them unless if you were talking to them as a whole. So that was the only thing about that. Demonstrates concise written and verbal communications. So we do know that I have a disability with reading and writing, mostly writing. and it says demonstrates concise written and verbal communication. Magenta has difficulty explaining her intervention or rationale of why it's relevant. Well, it's relevant when you're trying to meet their goals for each person. But in this scenario, I didn't understand why the child didn't know his ABCs being in 7th grade, but that's what the OT told me. So that's why I was working on ABCs in 7th grade. And that's what the OT told me, but she clearly lied. So, as stated before, Magenta struggles with communication. Over the last 3 weeks, she's been struggling with her class at EKU and has solely been focused on note writing at this site. I have only read one SOAP note Magenta has written, and it was handwritten, and it was one that she had worked on all day. It only included an A and an O. When reading over, it pointed out that she had 6 formation errors, and she only listed 4 letters for this. You guys, if I could just show you the note that I had wrote, I had probably I probably erased it, lost it by now. It's been almost 10 years. But that day I was trying to learn what she's talking about. That's when I went in on a off day, that we were on a fall break and we shouldn't have even been there. I was trying to learn, and that's why I went there. And she just was trying to grade me on my day that I was there trying to learn. So 19, demonstrates constructive resolution of conflict. Magenta can become fixated on one issue. When this happens, she's unable to move on. She focuses solely on the checklist and SOAP note writing. She's unable to focus on or participate in anything due to those circumstances and concerns. So that day, I was focused only on that because I know exactly which day she was talking about this, and it was only on the day that I was there to learn my SOAP notes at the middle school. And that was the only day I ever did that. And that's the only day she ever graded me on. So that was quite upsetting. So then also we go to number 20. It says practices assertive communication. Again, effective and assertive communication is hard for Magenta. She is not one to ask for help or assistance. And that's hilarious because that day I was asking for help and assistance on my SOAP notes, and she knew that. And then that's why she said she's so fixated on that. But I was asking for help, and she's just saying that I wasn't. And she didn't want to help me. And the funny thing was I was always asking for help, and nobody wanted to help me. But then they want to grade me and fail me for not asking for help, when I literally had multiple emails asking for help. And with her, she's literally telling you in the other ones that I asked for help, but she didn't want to help, basically. So then she says, an example of her difficulty with the SOAP note writing at EKU. When her grade was affected by her difficulty to write SOAP notes containing critical thinking, Magenta expressed to me that she was contacting the student for accessibilities. That's because I might have told her that. If I did, it was because I don't think I even told her that, because I was mad that she found out that I had a disability, and I didn't tell her that. I told her I had a tutor, but I don't think I ever told her I had student accessibilities, if I remember correctly, because I was really mad remembering when I first ever read this, and that she said that. At no time did Magenta share with me that she needed any help, extra help, or accommodations. Yeah, so if I had told her I needed to go to the Center of Accessibility, why would I have never told her that I needed help or extra help? Or accommodations. That's because I wasn't supposed to disclose to her. That means I did not disclose to her that I needed that, and someone else told her that. You guys, someone else told her that. When I questioned her as if she said she just needed extra time with audio and visual feedback, and she told me that she received a tutor at EKU. She expressed that she was not getting the help that she needed when her grades were dropping. I was telling her that I didn't have enough tutoring, and that no one was giving me accommodations. If she would have asked, that would have been the only way that she would have known, as if she had been told by someone else that I had this disability and then was questioning me about it. Meaning someone was doing something they weren't supposed to be doing at the time. And then said that I do not know what Gaskell's were, which is what they would use for this type of student practice at the time. And that's what we were learning in school. But again, I wasn't getting help that I needed to in regards to that. And so those were the things that she was saying. And then Magenta indicated by her behavior with conflicts with the fieldwork supervisor. She demonstrates a preference to avoid direct contact with people she knows. Of course I did. I chose to do emails instead of going in person, because every time I went in person, they made me feel bad about myself and would call me names and think that they were going to get away with it because it wasn't in writing. And I also have those recordings, which we could probably listen to soon, if you guys want to listen to that stuff, the way that they acted in that regards. And then Magenta has accommodations through EKU, which didn't even need to be in my entire, like, they didn't need to be talking about my disability when grading me. Like, this was not appropriate and this was not right. And they just did. So that's kind of what happened with that. I can't remember, you guys, where we left off in regards to that. But oh my goodness. Oh, it says start here. Oh gosh, I wrote that. Oh well, okay. So this is where it's needed to start. It says Magenta acknowledges her poor skills with expressing ideas and content knowledge, both verbally and writing. She has expressed in a meeting with me, the instructor, which was Leslie Hardman, self-awareness of continued challenge of area. So yeah, I did know that I have challenges in like doing things, but I wasn't afraid of doing it. Magenta has number 24. It said 24 is, oh, we have a whole other page. Abides by instructors' decisions and orders. And let's see what they said here. No evidence that Magenta followed through with AI recommendations during the meeting of 10/12. She should have occurred on the last two visits of field work. Yeah, her meeting with me at 10/12 was her basically saying that I should never work with this population, and that she's trying to say that I didn't do what I was supposed to, but that wasn't true. Then 25, she said supportive of peers, clients, and says that I only did things with the FMD population because that's mostly all I was with the majority of the time. Again, we only went 4 times. Yeah. Magenta is kind and supportive with clients. Observed at Cape. Observed at Cape. Interesting. 31. Contacts instructor for help at appropriate times. Magenta is kind and Magenta consistently uses email as her preferred method. This is appropriate. But a minute ago, she was upset that all I did was write emails. Okay. 25. No. We were on 35 through 37. Magenta typically observes in a group situations and does not take leadership with her OTS peers. Well, when you have pushy people around you and they want to take control, I'm going to let them take control because I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to be the one wanting to be in control. If you want to be in control, take it. Take the wheel. I will follow. But, I mean, unless if it's not good, then I won't follow you. But I'm not going to argue with you if you want to be the leader. You want to be the leader, take it. Assist with problems and resolution once the problem has been identified. This area is for improvement as noted in 19 and 20 and demonstrates poor insight to problem solving related to assignments and or client challenges. Because most of my challenges were not with my assignments, they were with my people over me, which were my teachers, and that is why I was having trouble with that. Then 39, it says shows awareness and insight regarding strengths and areas needing growth in terms of being fixated on soap notes, which again, this was during my fall break, the only day that I went to learn for my own self. And she says, Magenta tries very hard, as stated in 12, works ahead on assignments. She has poor insight for addressing her deficits in content knowledge. Saying that I cannot say that I have a deficit. Well, 1, I don't have a deficit, and 2, maybe you should have taught me better in class if I don't know the knowledge, because they didn't really teach you much in that class. They wanted you to learn it on your own, but the Jamaica Richards wasn't teaching me anything because she was always sitting with a speech therapist. and then analyzes leadership skills, fundamental skills for occupational therapists, including seeking, synthesizing, analyzing information, creating a client profile, and not understanding the big picture, assessing and interpreting, and finally applying information in unique creative ways to meet the needs of the persons or population. What is often challenging for Magenta is the demand on expectations to use her emerging professional skills in a real world scenario. But the thing was, I didn't have free range to do that in a real world scenario at that time, because the teacher was already judging me, calling me names basically, and failing me. And of course I am not doing well in that scenario because my mental health wasn't doing well, and they just kept on and on and on with that. So that was done on 10/24. Okay, so then after my teacher, Jamaica Richards, went over that with me, she sat me down at the end of the day and went over that with me. And by this point, you guys, I had a panic attack, a full-blown panic attack that day. I was having to drive back to school, and I was a mess because they had just failed me for going on my fall break, which wasn't even a day that was scheduled to be there. And I was going there to learn and to observe and to be able to learn to do the SOAP notes and to be able to get a better grasp on things that I needed to do, so I could do better with the class for the last 2 visits that were scheduled. But they counted that visit as a scheduled visit. So that's where it kind of went wrong. And I can remember me just driving home, bawling my eyes out, upset, hurt, like it was awful because I had tried everything in my power to do the best I could. So then on 10/27, I was so prior to that day on the 10/24, I had already talked to, I'm guessing I'd already been in the works with talking to the disability office to go and get a new teacher for the class of, for this class that I had Leslie Hardman as my teacher, because she just kept on belittling me and telling people things that she didn't need to tell them. And she was just like openly doing that. So by this point, she had failed me in this class because you weren't going to be able to move on. On 10/24, you were failed. Like you weren't going to be able to move on. And I did not believe that I was so bad at this class that I would make an F, okay? Because I hadn't made an F ever since like I was in 3rd grade. And I was like, this is not happening. So I went in with to ask on 10/27, this Colleen Chair, the OT, if it was possible that I can get a new teacher and a new fieldwork site. I had 6 weeks left of the semester. So we could have gotten into a fieldwork for level 1 at that time if they would have just gave me a new teacher and allowed me to do it on 10/27 of 17. And I have that meeting recorded. And I left because I had 6 weeks of time, and I said that would be enough time to allow me to go to fieldwork, because fieldwork was only 4 weeks. So you only had to go to a site for 4 weeks and meet the kids and do all the work, okay? And I was like, I need you to give me a new teacher for this exact class that they just said that I failed, and I'll show you that I'm not going to make an F, because I know that I did not do bad enough to fail. And they told me that that was not adequate time to be able to do this class. That's what they told me. And then also on a date that I can't remember, unknown, an OT at Georgetown where I was planning to do my level 2 fieldwork. I went to go to visit a level 2 fieldwork to make sure that they would be able to accommodate me into the way that I needed to be accommodated. And so I remember going to Georgetown for the level 2, and this woman that was an OT, she kept telling me and saying every time that if everything worked out that I might be able to come in January. And obviously knew that I was failing before I did, because she kept saying that if there was anything that I would like to tell her that I thought that she should know. And I told her, and I never told her anything about my disability or my accommodations. I was going there to observe an OT do her job and to learn what I needed to see so I would know the field that I was going into. And for her to keep asking me multiple times throughout that visit, if there was anything I wanted to tell her or that I thought she needed to know about myself, like in regards to schooling, and where she kept saying if everything works out, it was like someone had told her that I was failing school and that it wasn't going to work out and that I wasn't going to be there. And that is the feeling that I got, and I'm pretty positive. I wish I could have seen their emails because I know someone did that, and that's breaking FERPA. So that was wrong also. So then in November of 2017, I requested a grade appeal with the occupational therapy department for the class of OTS 871. They denied my appeal, and I wanted to appeal with the dean of the equity, and then the equity and inclusion office took over after I took that appeal. And what made me mad about this was, wait for it, in the beginning of 2017, I was trying to do an appeal of the dean of science at the department, and John Dixon told me that if I made a deal with him, meaning making a deal with EKU, that I needed to stop the appeals process and that I could not have a deal made for me if I continued to appeal my grade for OTS 871. And I don't know why that was, because that was very wrong, because this deal that I made with EKU that I cannot find for the life of me right now, should be in my legal documents, you'd think. It's got to be in there. Yeah. So I could not. So I was thinking about taking this deal that they were giving me, which the deal included that I was going to be able to retake OTS 871. However, it had to count as a failed class for OTS, like for the OTS department, which should have never been in the deal, because guess what? I did not fail that class. They failed me because they didn't like that I had a disability and they wanted to count it as a failure. So I could, if they failed me at anything else, that I would not be able to continue as OT, which was wrong. And I didn't want to take the deal because of that. And I also wasn't going to have to pay to retake OTS 871, that it was supposed to be free, because they failed me on purpose, and I was going to prove it to them that they failed me on purpose by what I made in the next grade. And then also, I think it was also something else about the money, but they broke it because they made me pay for it. And I was very mad. They broke their deal. That they told me. So then Lori Davis, the disability office, told me that it was too late to file an accommodations appeal, which was I needed to do an accommodations appeal because the teacher, Leslie Hartman, wasn't giving me the accommodations that I needed for the class, but I couldn't do that appeal because I missed the deadline. So then on 12/20 on the phone, I verbally agreed to this contract with John Dixon to be able to go back to school and to do what I needed to do. And then on 12/27, I signed a copy of the contract with John Dixon at EKU. So 7 days later, 2 days after Christmas in 2017, I signed the contract to be able to go back to school and do OT, like how I needed to. Oh. Anyway, so that's what I did. And then let me see, you guys, if I can find any other things that would show you guys what had happened. Because, yeah, we are going into the spring of 2018. And when we go into the spring of 2018, I know that I'm going to need like a whole podcast to really go in depth and to just talk about exactly what happened in regards to that. Because it was just so bad that I literally have no other like words for that. In all honesty, I really don't. And you guys, they talk so much to other people. OTS 845. This is one of my appeals decisions. That was the wrong one, though. That's for 2018. I really just want to, tell you guys, I want to read you guys these, emails, but that's for a different thing. Yeah, so what else is going on with you guys? Is it so interesting? Here it is. It says, this is the deal that I wrote, that they had me write. So the registrar will administratively withdraw Magenta from OTS 871 for the semester of 2017. The class will appear as a W on her thing, and on her transcript, it will be an AW. Then tuition will be paid for the fall. The tuition Magenta paid for OTS 874 in the fall will be credited to her account in the spring to cover my 871 course. The registrar had agreed to assist with this to be running as smoothly as possible. Magenta will be re-enrolled in OTS 871 in the spring. Magenta will only be required to retake the components of 871 that she failed and did not pass in 2017. Leslie Hardman and Jamaica Richards will not be a part of Magenta's Spring 2017 871 course in which Magenta is enrolled. Magenta will be assigned a new fieldwork location, a new fieldwork educator, and a fieldwork instructor. Magenta successfully completes the necessary components of her OTS 871 in the spring. She will then be enrolled in fieldwork 2. Because of the accreditation rules that bind occupational therapy program, if Magenta does not successfully complete her OTS 871, then this will count as her second failure as OTS 871. And see, you guys, I should have never been counted as a failure in OTS 871 because I made in the spring, you guys will find out, but in the spring of OTS 871, when I only did 4 weeks of field work, I made an A. I made a high A in that class. Tell me how within 6 weeks I learned to get the big picture and to be able to use my professional skills coordinated into my field work if with an A and high A in the OTS 871 if I was really going to make an F and fail. It's not. It wouldn't have happened. That means I did have the skills because there was no way I was going to learn those skills between 11:07 to 01:07. So by January 7th, it said that I knew the skills. No, No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. If I'm as stupid as they were trying to say, that would have not worked. That's not how that would have went. Oh yeah, that's not at all how that would have went. And if I could have showed you what that teacher said to me, she was actually angry to give me an A with her, when I went back when I was doing level 1 field work, when the other girl was doing level 2 field work, she was actually mad to give me an A. She was like, did you need to tell me anything, or did you want me to know anything else about you? And I said no. And you know why? I never told that OT that I had a disability. I never told her anything, and she was still trying to ask me if I had a disability or anything. And you know what? I didn't tell her. And you know why I didn't tell her? Because I did not want it to be affecting my grade, and I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want anyone to know. And that's why I didn't tell her. And, And so I started level 2 field work on February 12th. Meaning I had redone OTS 871 in basically less than a month. When they told me 6 weeks wasn't enough to retake the class when other people were taking it. And it was more than enough time. They just didn't want to do it. And that's right there. If that didn't prove that they did it to me on purpose, I don't know what else could. And I know they did. And it had went back all the way back from the beginning when I started there in 2014 when Kazi Upton was telling me that I needed to switch careers because she didn't think I could do it. And tell me how I can complete a class that took 12 weeks to complete before, made an F, then a few weeks later after that class ended, they failed me in that class, and then I turn around and make an A in that class, a high A in that class. There's no way. You couldn't do it. If you didn't know the material, you wouldn't have known the material from that point. That's because I knew the material. They just were belittling me so much mentally that I was breaking down, and it was awful in the way that they did it. And that is why I get very upset when I think about EKU, but I am going to be overcoming that. And I will be next talking about how many appeals I went through, and everything like that for the next semester, for being an occupational therapist. And we will be talking about the spring semester, and it's about to get real. It's about to get so real, I don't even know what else to tell you guys. It's traumatizing to me, especially when you just found out that I had made an A. I went from an F to an A. That's not how that goes. You're not going to make an F. Okay, maybe I would have made a C. If I had made a C, that was barely passing, but it would have passed. You know what I'm saying? But no, I went from an F to a high A. That means I knew what I was doing. I could apply it to the job in the real world. But I'll tell you, I'll never forget, I went there, and this woman that was my OT at the time for that class, her name was Julie Wells, and she was so angry that she was giving me such a high grade. And I couldn't figure out why she was bitter. She was bitterly angry that she was giving me such a high grade, for her class. And I thought that she really cared about me, for that week, because I didn't think anyone told her anything about me. And so I even had made her this basket, of nice samples and everything. And the way that she treated me when she was grading me was kind of belittling, but she couldn't belittle me because I passed it. I did so well. She was upset because I didn't have more confidence in myself as a person. But after having experienced what I had just experienced with my other teachers, a few weeks prior to that, of course I'm not going to have confidence in myself. And who would? Who would have confidence in themselves when someone just told them that they were failing? One, just had a mental breakdown because of what they said to you. Two, of course I'm not going to be confident. But the thing was, someone had told that woman about my disability and why I was coming there. And I don't know who told her that, and I can't prove that she was told that, but the way that she was acting towards me in regards to it, I know that they did. It's when you know something, but you can't prove it. It's kind of like that. But I could prove it with how I felt. But, that doesn't always work. And that was the saddest part of this entire thing, because I knew what they did. I knew what they said to people. I knew that they were talking behind to people without me. I knew that they were saying things about me that they shouldn't have been saying. I knew that they were doing those things, but I couldn't prove it because I wasn't in the room when they were doing that. And that's what was so detrimental. And you guys, this is the recorder right here. I'm going to show you, because I have 3 recorders here. Well, let's see what this is. They even made it into a CD tape. Oh my goodness, if only. I didn't know that they had to do all that. Look at all the recorders I had, you guys. Yeah. Somebody stole. I had 4. These are 3 recorders. Someone stole one. So I actually had 4, but one got stolen. Or maybe they tried to steal it and I caught it. They dropped it. They dropped it or something. I can't remember if they dropped it or if we lost it. They might have actually stole it. I don't think that they have batteries in them. Or I would let you guys hear it. I don't know what we can do to make them work, but if I could work them, you best believe we'll be working them. They could be dead. I mean, it's been years. It's been like 10 years, so probably. Yeah, I guess they're dead. They still have the batteries in them and everything. I will get these to work, you guys, and you will hear, if you stay in my podcast, you guys are going to hear these. Like, this is crazy. And you guys, like, I need, like, something to just, like, let you guys hear them. And you will. To go back in time is what we're about to do. Get ready. Coming in the time machine. Okay, it's not my favorite, but you guys, it deserves to be told. It deserves to be heard. And I just thank you for being with me. And if you have any questions, let me know. I know that it's a little bit, I feel like it might be a little bit erratic. I feel like I'm a little bit erratic when I talk about it. That's because it really hurt me when I talked about it. And I feel like when I talk about it, demons start to really come up and attack me. But it has to be done. It has to be said. It has to be out there. I just hope I can have it organized enough and you guys can really get the full, like, know everything, because I am pouring my heart out to you. I really am. So you guys know that you're amazing, kind, smart, funny, and an extraordinary human. Look at my face, guys. It's like glowing. I've never seen it really be like that. I actually have like a pimple. Like, it's like you see that? It's like a hard thing on my face. I feel like I need to like stab it with something, but I don't know how to get rid of it. It's been there for like, I don't know, a while. Like almost a month, you guys. Anyway, I love you. I'm proud of you. You're an overcomer. You're going to make it. You will prevail. And I just wanted to let you guys know. So thanks for allowing me to just sit and talk to you guys for a little while. Remember, this is Who Needs a Therapist When You Have a Friend. And I'm really just thankful that you guys are my friend because I needed you. And I'll talk to you guys later.